Welcome to the Greenwich Means Business podcast.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Greenwich Means Business podcast. Today we're joined with a very famous guest known as Lucien von Schomberg. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, pleasure. So thank you for having me. My name is Lucien. I am a senior lecturer at the University of Greenwich. And among many other things, I have the pleasure of leading our brand new Entrepreneurship and Innovation program, which I guess is the reason why we're here having this amazing podcast today.
Exactly. So to start, I'd like to know, and I think everyone would like to know actually, how did this program come about? How did this idea come forward, and why have you done it?
Yeah, that's a great first question, I would say. I would say that the departure point is in fact the world around us, which is changing at an incredibly rapid pace. And with that change comes a lot of challenges, a lot of global challenges. We're dealing with mental health crisis. We have, of course, the recent pandemic, the emergence of AI. All of these things are putting a lot of pressure on universities and business schools to prepare a new generation of students to really not only understand this world, but also contribute to solving its challenges. And so we thought, why not use entrepreneurship and innovation as tools and leverage those as tools to really contribute to that change and to really empower a new generation of change makers through entrepreneurship and innovation.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there an element of creativity within the courses?
Yes, so definitely. I think maybe first of all, it would be good to mention that while I say we use entrepreneurship and innovation as tools to contribute to that meaningful change, I think the first step is rethinking what entrepreneurship and innovation means altogether.
Yeah.
So traditionally, the entrepreneur is always understood in terms of an economic agent trying to, identify the so-called gap in the market, exploit financial opportunities.
That's what I think. Yeah, that's what I grew up thinking, exactly.
Right,
yeah.
so that's sort of a traditional notion an entrepreneur has, and while there might be truth in that, we believe that entrepreneurship and innovation is much broader and shouldn't just be about being entrepreneurial and innovative and creative, to come back to your question, for purely financial gains and commercial opportunities, but also to really generate societal value and really contribute generally to meaningful change. And so there are different ways, I guess, to how we try to nurture this new generation, and creativity plays a big part. So we have, I would say, the program is structured in 3 categories of modules, if that makes sense. Yeah. So we've got a theoretical base of modules, which really dives into more the fundamentals of what entrepreneurship means, also diving into theories on innovation and technology management. But it doesn't stop there. So I know universities tend to have this connotation that they really focus purely on theoretical aspects, and we appreciate theory is really important to provide that strong foundation. Yeah. But beyond just theoretical modules, we also offer what we call more functional modules. We see this as a toolbox, so really the tools necessary to operate a new venture, to organize a startup. So this can be really practical things in terms of strategy, finance, those aspects, but also in terms of leadership. We have a module on cross-cultural management, business ethics, which all fall part of that toolbox. Mm-hmm. And then finally, so we've got theoretical modules, functional modules, and then ultimately, what would be the most important aspect of an entrepreneur? Well, is actually the practical dimension, right? Yeah. So we really want to throw the students into the real world and really translate everything they gain through those modules through also practical modules. So we have a range of practical modules where creativity really is cultivated to the largest extent possible, and creativity in the sense of thinking about new ways of assessment. So we have one module where we designed the art of storytelling. So storytelling is fundamental. We believe in, if you look at history as well, right? So every revolution starts with a story. Every new idea starts with a story, a narrative.
They're powerful.
Yes, and the same is true when we talk about a new venture, a new project. What's the story behind the venture? So we designed the whole module around this, and then part of the assessment is also that they capture the story in the form of a vlog or a podcast, which actually feeds into a related module on digital marketing. So these are just examples.
So are they like practical? Like, are they like assessed, or is it like more of like a formative assessment? Are they marked on creating vlogs and podcasts?
Yes. Wow. So yes. So we have really rethought not only the content of the modules, but also really how they are delivered and how they are assessed. So we thought about, okay, what are things that entrepreneurs actually need to do, and how can we assess them in a way that's not only fun and engaging, but actually really translates into what they would do in the real world.
That's amazing.
So podcasts is a form of an assessment. For another module, they have to develop their own website, their own brand, posters, infographics. I mentioned podcasts, portfolios.
Wow.
So these type of activities are all part of the assessment.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so Lucien, you mentioned how, like the course is specified for entrepreneurs. And you mentioned how obviously you have like a different idea of what an entrepreneur is like, what everybody thinks that it is and then what it actually is to you. So I just want to know like, what skills and what kind of qualities have you ever like met an entrepreneur, and what skills did they have? Like, what did you notice about them? What kind of qualities did they have that you saw and really appreciated, or you could realize that they were a true entrepreneur?
Yeah, that's a great question. I like the way you posed it also, because it's very much aligned with what we were thinking in the design of the program. There's a lot of studies and literature on what it means to be an entrepreneur, and they've also been contested. Sometimes they say you have to be really extroverted, but then there are also examples of entrepreneurs which are actually very introverted and have done amazingly. So that there's a lot of, I guess, studies already around what it means to be an entrepreneur. But at the same time, as you've mentioned as well, we rethink what entrepreneurship means altogether. And in this sort of new vision, what does it mean to be this new generation of entrepreneurs? And here we borrow a framework of responsible innovation, which highlights 4 dimensions. And then we've added actually a 5th one. So the first dimension is anticipation. So this means really being able to anticipate not just the short-term outcomes of your new venture or your new idea, but also the long-term effects and what effects this might have, positive or negative, on society, and to be able to mitigate those risks as well. So that's, I guess, one dimension. And then another dimension is around inclusion. So, of course, at the university, we praise inclusion a lot in terms of diversity. But what does it really mean to be inclusive? And here there's a lot of thought going on as well in terms of what it means to be an inclusive entrepreneur. And this includes different perspectives from different backgrounds. People in different regions in the world have complete different visions on what innovation and entrepreneurship means than sort of the neoliberal Western idea of what it means. Yeah. So that's one way of kind of broadening the concept of entrepreneurship and making it more inclusive. But not just in terms of backgrounds, it's also in terms of disciplines. So we really try to think about how can we be very interdisciplinary in our content, drawing on other relevant fields, ranging from politics and psychology, philosophy. They all form part of the curriculum. Even though we are sitting in a business school, we really try to collaborate with other faculties as well to really provide this sort of more inclusive
that's really great
vision on entrepreneurship. Yeah. So those are, I guess, 2 dimensions that I've mentioned. Then there's one on reflexivity, so being able to be reflective. I guess reflective also in a critical sense of being able to reflect on your own biases, on your own values. And I guess they overlap, right? These dimensions, they overlap. So by being inclusive and collaborative with other peers and other disciplines and other perspectives, automatically you become more reflective of your own values, of your own perspective. So part of this new entrepreneur is also being able to be really critical and reflective on yourself. And then the 4th dimension of this framework is responsiveness. So being able to respond to the challenges out there. And also in that sense, and this goes much in line with the traditional understanding of entrepreneurship, where you're able to be adaptive, resilient if circumstances change, that you can change quickly, learn quickly, learn from your failures, and respond quickly, and so on. So these are 4 dimensions of an existing framework. Usually they are applied in the field of innovation, but we borrow this to inform what we call the change maker's compass.
Yeah.
So each student has this change maker compass to fall back on, where they try to pursue these.
Is this a framework that you've made to kind of explain what an entrepreneur would consist of within the program?
Exactly. So the idea is that we translate each of these dimensions into a concrete program learning outcome. So at the end of the program, you have achieved outcomes around these dimensions. And then one that we've added is at the center or the heart of the compass, if you will. And that's the dimension of action. So really being able to take initiative.
Yeah.
I always say by virtue of your birth, you have this capacity to take action, to take initiative. And it is through taking action that you reveal who you really are as a unique and distinct individual. And I believe this is where you not only experience authentic freedom and meaning, but where you also really do the unexpected. And this is, I think, something that we really try to unlock in the program.
That's
we
amazing.
believe that every student that comes in has this innate capacity to take action. And our responsibility as a program is to unleash that capacity and really enable students to do the unexpected, even beyond what they thought was possible.
Yeah. You know, when I was younger, I used to think that I would grow up and be an entrepreneur. When people used to ask me, when I was like 11, people used to ask me, you know, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I used to say, I want to be an entrepreneur. And the moment I learned that word, that's all I ever said. Obviously, that looks different now in my life, but I want to ask, have you ever had one of those moments where you thought that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? I mean, to be honest, I would say that you coming up with the concepts for this course, that's very much being an entrepreneur, right?
No, I think that's I'm glad you mentioned that. In a way, it definitely resonates with what you're saying, because I think everyone has this capacity to be an entrepreneur. So this kind of links back to this innate capacity to take action. And I'm glad to hear that you also have this urge of action. I think everyone does. And so entrepreneurship is really about unleashing that, I would say. And me personally, yes, I definitely see myself in many ways as an entrepreneur for the University of Greenwich. And I've also previously worked in the football industry, where I actually also...
Really? Tell us more about that. That's interesting now. What did you do with football?
I guess that's a different chapter in my life. To some extent, I'm still involved and collaborating with different football clubs. But I used to... initially I started off as a player, played at a relatively competitive level, but then as the story goes, as many of these stories go, a lot of injuries, focus on my studies, so I shifted more into a coaching career.
So you could have been the next Messi.
I was in process of becoming, yes.
Wow, you hear that, everyone? No. That's crazy.
Yeah, no. The excuse is always injuries.
I believe you, though.
No. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot, but I also really enjoyed coaching. So I quickly shifted into more of a coaching career, coaching young kids, and then through time I coached different age categories, and then ended up working for different football clubs. A few years ago, I worked for Genk, which is a club in Belgium, where I coached initially the under 14, and then they asked me to support them also with defining a new vision for the youth academy. So the club is very much known for creating a lot of talented players, and they sort of they wanted to capture what it means to develop these players. And so they were looking at different backgrounds within the academy. So they were actually being very innovative in that sense as well. And they knew about my more philosophical background, which I guess is something I didn't mention either, but actually I studied philosophy. So they were trying to see how this could feed into perhaps supporting them with defining a philosophy.
Now that you mention all of this, it makes sense as to why, you're so passionate about entrepreneurship and innovation, this degree. Like, it just feels like you have the perfect qualities to really make this degree something. And that's amazing. But I want to bring it back to something. So obviously, imagine, a student comes to Greenwich, they pick entrepreneurship and innovation, they finish their studies. What happens next? How do you help them come up with their business? How do you help them get out there? What are the opportunities like once they graduate?
Excellent. So I would say there are 3 pathways. And all of these pathways, in the end, also reflect sort of my personal journey, which I was just elaborating on earlier. But the first pathway, the ideal vision, let's say, of the program is that by the time you have your degree, not only do you have your degree, but you have already, if not realized and launched a venture, at least tested the venture. So the idea is really to support students to create their own venture. The moment they step their first foot in the university, we try to support them with creating their own venture. So that's the first pathway, that by the time they get their degree, they also have a venture already launched. The second pathway is because we realize that many students, they perhaps require more time to go on that pathway, which of course is sometimes perhaps more risky pathway.
Terrified.
Although we will always say, again, referring back to the compass, action, in that sense, be bold and be able to take the risk. So we try to support students for that first pathway. But alternatively is the second pathway, which is the pathway of what we call intrapreneurship. So that's essentially entrepreneurship within an organization. So being entrepreneurial for an organization, really driving change from within. So this is a pathway that I think I've been on for a long time. So
I would agree.
Yeah. So
you're doing great.
Yeah? Great. I'm glad to hear.
I don't know how much my opinion counts because I'm just a placement student, but you're doing great.
No. That counts more than anything. So I appreciate that. But yeah, I would say also in the football industry, I think I was entrepreneurial within the football industry. Now I'm being entrepreneurial within academia. So that's really this pathway of driving change from within an organization. And it's more about, rather than being an entrepreneur, it's about being entrepreneurial, which I think is something that this program really tries to unlock as well. And then finally, there's the third pathway for those that are really interested in more of the theory, the academics, and really studying. There's always the pathway of continuing your studies in this space. So after graduating, perhaps you want to pursue a master's in this space as well. So it's kind of either you lead the change with setting up your own venture, you drive change from within an organization, or you study change and you continue that. So these would be the 3 pathways. And then looking back at me, I would say that I've been on all those 3 pathways as well, or I am on all those 3 pathways. So I've done a lot of studies in this space, being entrepreneurial for different organizations, but also being an entrepreneur myself, currently part of a startup in, together with some friends of mine, we are currently in running a startup in AI trading.
Really?
So it's a bit of an explorative
Well, we need to talk more
field.
about that off camera. No, I'm joking. But wow, okay.
I mean, this is still the initial stages, but also really trying to set up our own venture there and explore new
Sounds
territories.
amazing. Does the generator play any part within what you do? Like, can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, fundamental. So the generator is the student center for enterprise. Any student at the university, not just for our program, any student at the university can essentially knock on their doors and ask for help and support. Whether they already have a business idea, then they can gain some one-to-one support, or whether they just need inspiration for an idea, so they can go there and explore new ideas. And they're an amazing team. They have also a very large network of mentors. I believe it's currently a network of 112 mentors working in different industries. So depending on what kind of venture you're pursuing, they are able to set you up with a mentor in that field. And that mentor can really provide amazing support. And we've seen cases of students really benefiting from that support to realize their own venture. They also organize incredible events throughout the year.
Yeah, they're an amazing team.
Yes. So they have the Enterprise Challenge. So every year they organize this Enterprise Challenge where students can submit their idea and then ultimately, I think, win up to a money prize of 5K that they can then reinvest in their business. But more than the money prize, it's really that whole process and the mentor support and that really
Wow.
can really make a difference for students. So we work a lot with the generator, and actually as part of this new program, we will consider the generator as really the community hub of the program. So the induction happens at the generator. Any program-related activities we try to host at the generator, so that they really create this connection with them from the first day they join the university.
That's great. That's amazing. Yeah, I love the generator.
Mm.
Okay, we're going to wrap up now soon. So I think for one last question that I want to ask you is, if you could convince any students, any prospective students watching right now to take this degree, what would you say to them? What would appeal to them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say
No pressure.
No pressure. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if any of what I mentioned already didn't convince it, I would say it's really being part of something different. It's a completely newly designed program. It's really outside of the box. I know that sounds cliche, but it's really trying to break boundaries. Universities, and I know this is being recorded, so I should be careful what I say, but they tend to be very bureaucratic. So they have very, standardized processes and ways of proceeding. And with this program, we really try to go beyond those processes to do things differently. Yeah. It's not just exams, essays, presentations.
Absolutely.
It's really completely a new take on what it means to be part of higher education.
Yeah.
So I think it's a unique program. I'm confident it's unique not just in the UK but also globally. We did a lot of research into different programs. I know the US has a lot of they're quite leading in terms of being very innovative in terms of new programs and thinking outside of the box. So we've taken inspiration out of those, but we really try to create something that's just really unique in terms of its content. Again, focusing on the theory, the toolbox, and the practical dimension to it. But then also in terms of its delivery, we have an amazing team of staff that helped design this program. They're really young, vibrant staff that engages in a lot of entrepreneurial projects themselves, world-leading research that they then feed into this program. So they'll be able to deliver really high-quality education, but not just in terms of what they deliver, but really also how they deliver. So we really try to be innovative in the way we teach. It's very much trying to inspire students to partake in this whole learning process, that they're not just soaking in knowledge, but actually co-creating knowledge themselves, that they're really putting themselves out there. So we use different methodologies for that as well. I myself use this, sometimes this drama-based methodology. So instead of just lecturing to students, we do sometimes performances as well to really try to engage students into the whole,
really great.
The learning experience. And then also, as I mentioned earlier, the assessment. It's not just exams and presentations, essays. It's really a variety of activities that really relate to what it means to be an entrepreneur in this new sense.
I definitely agree with you with it being unique, because I was looking at the brief, like of what the degree consists of, and I was shocked. Like, it's just something so different and refreshing. I love it. And when can students apply for this degree?
So they can apply already.
So it's open, everyone?
It is open,
Put your applications in.
Now's the moment.
UCAS deadline.
The program will be launched in September 2025.
Wow.
So whoever is applying now will be the first generation of graduates of this brand new program, which I think is already exciting in itself, because they'll have a lot of ownership as well in terms of perhaps they want to co-create the program as well and fine-tune it and so on. I think it's a continuous process in that sense. So yes, applications are open. September we will start the program for the first time. I'm really excited, and again, I think this is really about inspiring a new generation of change makers with a strong sense of purpose and responsibility. So if that appeals to any of you, then that's the call to apply.
Definitely. All right, Lucien, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an amazing opportunity just to chat about the program, to think about it even further. So really happy to be here, and I look forward to the next occasion.
Okay, everyone, thank you for watching. I was your host, Natalie, and the link for this degree is in the bio if you're interested. You can also share it with your friends and your family, and let us know what you want to see on this podcast, because we're running on your ideas. Thank you. See you next episode.
You can find our podcast on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Subscribe to never miss an episode.